We are sent here with the sole purpose to protect the interests of the people of the state of Meghalaya. Sometimes interpretation may vary from one interpretation to the next. The MDA 2.0 is here to govern, to show the way, to engineer, to put in place, to correct errors of the past. Whether that takes us to a better level politically or whether it will jeopardize our political survival is irrelevant. We come to govern. We govern with confidence. We govern with as much a cooperation from all players in the political field. We did not exempt any political party from bringing forward its observations. This will continue. However, a term of reference will be put in place so that we remember that the existence of a committee is for a very specific reason. You do not at random pick up any information or any discussion only because it serves the purpose of popularity for any political gain. We are here to govern, we will govern. Our interest is very focused. The people of the state of Meghalaya should be protected, and all citizens must be protected as per law. The implementation of roster in the state of Meghalaya as directed by the Honorable High Court. To discuss any other matter which is beyond that mandate would have been incorrect, and we firstly have to ensure that we put in place a robust roster that will protect the interests of all citizens within the state of Meghalaya. So this was what was done. The very fact that political parties were all invited, we had hoped that we would be able to bring to this table all our queries, our doubts, but unfortunately, members of a particular party abstained from even coming to the meeting, and in fact, this is something which we must set in order. I think we have to put things in the right perspective. If there are doubts, if there are questions to be asked, we have provided you the forum. Having said that, we will again invite all political parties to bring their reservations on any agenda with regards to the roster and its application in the state of Meghalaya to this committee that has been recently constituted. We will not close our doors to anyone, with the hope that we as the people who are the helm of affairs, who are to be engineering and authoring important laws and policies for the state of Meghalaya, do it in a befitting manner. I once again invite all political parties to come forward. Let us not hit the streets, because the street is not where we make laws. This committee now has been constituted to still attend to any query or any uncertain point that any political party feels that will jeopardize the application of the reservation policy in the state of Meghalaya from here forward.
The latest ruling in the Supreme Court then this is Manongi Peak away reservation reservation centrally funded central institutes. Yakishel tribes kaya 7.5% drop in there. Scheduled areas kaya Katto reservation Chong Katto University of Kisuthu scheduled track areas. The Kira Paganir with the scheduled track areas, come day Baganiga 80% can Poisha court, Kala Poisha court no proceed, Tangba Kakut Kamley. This is subject of the government. Haduman Tangin Kampale Ega court, Bangin Omangi Bakanle. Well, we just
So what will be the next step?
Long subuh muncul ada perkelahian kini kalau restruction Katno ya saya depan mengkasi Katno.
Pi kalau ba pen pen dalam 1971. 1971 hang tu giong ba ka resolution ka bakla to kong ba in BSF population. But ka we giong ba ki ko ka reservation kam nei ka combined ST. Tingam la bu ban shim ya combined ST population. Ya hab shim hi ya ke individual ST population. Ka individual ST population how 1971 ki khasi kilong subsan ki karo la shur round up to 32%. Lagi duna ya ke 32%. Di tahun 2011 ka population di khasi giri 47%, ka population di garo giri 32%. Jadi kita kelaban suatu ka population structure kam reflect ka reservation policy ka ba ka 1972 resolution ka ongba it is based on the population.
So the NPP is very pleased to extend a full support to the MDA 2.0 for the decisions that it has taken on the implementation of the roster in the state of Meghalaya. At the very outset, a roster that will now be put in place will safeguard all communities of the state, irrespective of their tribal statuses. That is the first thing. This roster now will also put in order a reservation policy that went without a guideline for 51 long years. So these are the two corrections that are going to be made in this application of roster. And as was discussed both at the MDA as well as at the all-party meeting, a retrospective application of the roster will not arise. Because for the first time, all departments in the state of Meghalaya will be adopting a roster in a prospective nature. Since most departments do not have the data that is necessary for a reference of the application of the roster in the reservation policy, henceforth all departments will be made to apply the roster in a prospective manner.
Hawan nak jadi mana sekian pada dia nak kalian macam ini lah batai rumah nak kalian government balik sikap resolution policy hak pandai keren pi pendala cakatan rai ya kan dia kacin kali mandong balik 1% yang baru bat balik 1% yang kasih jentia abau kacing bon pai ibon kasih jentia kacing ya kan dia jikli akli nengkong dau Captain William Sangma siang menengkong jongka jelar jongi bat ya kan dia kacing kali ujubab dalah dia daga boong ba ngi hapai 1% yang baru wala bon pai kusi namar bala ringi pai karu dang tun apalat hagi terikam sarkar per fi nak tak tahu yo yang sapau lada kan dia roster ka terikam mentah kelak ti kenapa kini yo nak kumjuk kan don cuk batam te lada mentah kelak yo kumjuk su don cuk batam te kata sapau ru abi pekelan no namar ke base ka tan rai balai ngiyo kumjuk wala lagi hepat ka tahu ba nakaling sarkar atau ka ong ba kiduna pala teman-teman kiduna su tepan kelan sapo nak kata daw ni stage na point ya karena si polisi sat voice nem kesalahan kami penting mendiskus kami penting banyak keran banyak hot banyak lujumon karena ka batam kanwan ka jing kentan jong sarkar banyak keran ka pau sai kedar ba ka kampua ya ka jing ba kamta ma bang im ka skin ka ba ngidon kiwi pada kijik benda ma ngimnya dai kamdai bandon ka jing ya hapren ki neki jenduk kasih jenduk baru dikane ban penting kenai kata pada kada sarkar ban ngaleng sarkar ke ong manya thawi ta komiti berpen ngaleng ka jong ila bu sai kada ngong biang ki form ki komiti ban diskusi kane ngi biang henry ban pensange no ka hot advertisement namar katang ya keren kini si penai ubadang rung babun diki besosir ibon dan nak kalian ngejongi ngirabu atau jing tawa, banyak kalian kesurkar kalau tim consider ya kali kebentar, ban kim pensangnya saya baru lagi advertisement, ya kibel adem, declare nilai nang ni simak minum khachu nang bang ni kan chane ka roster ba kum ka ji jong ka tak simpor
Ini perform ya komiti kadai nam tak resolution nam tak roster.
Entah roster resolution and roster.
Beroar.
Dekat kum ka jeng batai yang ki ko di sungko kadai kat no kum bagi bila keranteng kum bang kwa aktif masa point ke bakat no ki Kenya ka roster.
Ni nak kalian ngajong king satu mentang sini baka sokar ka penunkam atlet point kawai ke 200 point ba kawai ke 100 point. Ke 200 point penunkam nam tak diki PWD. Markiton ki kota.
Ini one bukan mengenai reservation. Nomor yang melak menkeren ya kerusel atau menkeren reservation. How can we speak about the roster system if reservation is not being discussed? So that is what we've been insisting upon the government. And so unless the government talks about the reservation, I think there's no point talking about roster system.
So can we say that due to you not being satisfied with the outcome of the meeting, was that you stage or walk out from the meeting?
Well, there's no point, discussing about the roster system because it's like putting the cart before the horse. So unless you talk about the reservation policy, roster system, discussing and spending time in the roster system, for us as a party, we feel it's just a waste of time.
That can be implemented.
Yes.
That can be implemented easily by the different department. They don't need to call us this meeting. It is not so complicated. It is not rocket science to understand the roster system. So first, we come to this meeting simply because we have been invited to come. They put in the subject of the letter as reservation roster. So we thought that the twin issues will be discussed. But when in the meeting we asked whether why the OM of 2022 does not speak about the population structure, which the 1972 resolution clearly stated that the principle of reservation is the population also.
Exactly.
But here the OM of 2022 speaks nothing about the population structure, and therefore we feel that it is pointless to have a discussion on the roster system, which is, I would say, a very simple matter which can be understood by anyone without coming to this meeting.
Ngira aku nambah kan ka. Jimi nak pada kerja mau mehon pro kerja keran apa. Mungkin mereka kan
Bom hun mi namar ba kamlong hi kum ka subject jong ki khot reservation roster penyekran reservation bikran mi roster.
But we have seen yesterday the Chief Minister had stated that reservation without a roster is meaningless. So what do you have?
They based the roster on I would say that the unjust reservation policy. So ultimately that roster system is unjust roster. Why? Because it is based on the unjust policy, and therefore unless and until you correct the policy based on the population structure, it is pointless to talk about the roster.
Clarity, the roster system as directed by the court, mandated by the court that we should have a roster system, and the roster system has been put in place to ensure that the reservation policy that we have 40, 15 and 5 is implemented in the test period. We are very happy, clarified. So now we have been assured that there will be no discrimination against any community. This misconception has been removed. So we are very happy as Indian National Congress because we're working for the interests of our young generation to ensure that our youth have a future in the state, our youth have faith in the system, and the government, the Chief Minister has clarified very clear that there will be no community that will be discriminated. The roster system is in place because all along after the reservation policy was enacted, there was no roster system in place. So it's been very clear now, it's been clarified. So the young generation should not worry. There will be no discrimination against any community. As per the reservation policy enacted by the Assembly, that will be followed in letters.
So majority have demanded that the roster should be implemented prospectively. So what was clarified?
Yes, because you see, now you have got to start somewhere. And the court has been very, very clear that, it should be from the time the roster system should be in place, right from the time that the reservation policy has been enacted. But of course it will be implemented prospectively. But you have to have certain basis, and the court has made it very clear that the roster system should be in place right from the time the reservation policy was enacted.
So has your party proposed any cut-off year for implementation of this roster?
See, cut-off year, we've said, the roster system will be in there, will be right from 1972, but the implementation will be prospective.
But only iba karon pun ka Jingsngew yang buat pencelana ini ke reservation policy.
No.
Dah ke bapak yang kata ke Jingsngew 4 ya saya ke bapak sengaja beres kadan.
P ni tambok ba try di tang ke jelajung ke bayo reservation adu ratusan persen. Mungkin kau ingin jelas.
So now this roster system is being implemented, and we want that while implementing this roster system, all the stakeholders should be put on board. And we'll see, after this meeting, the government has assured that some committee will be constituted pertaining to the implementation of the roster system, comprising of each member from each political party. Then we'll move forward as to what will happen in future. We will be getting more enlightenment to that committee also.
Yes, so majority of the people are demanding for prospective implementation of the roster system. So what is the stand of the AITC?
See, the High Court's order is to make it implemented from the time the reservation policy is in effect. But however, the roster system, when it is being implemented, it is being implemented from prospective manner.
We have demanded for prospective manner, and the government has also agreed, even though the retrospective effect would be to understand the various positions of the various posts across all departments. But then all recruitments will be done prospectively. That was demand by our party as well, and that will be done as well.
So have you proposed any cut-off year for the implementation of the roster system?
See, once there are two sets of departments. One set of departments where we find that the data is ready and they are roster ready. Means after the positions are taken into place, without looking at the whatever appointments have been done in the past, everything will be done with effect.
To make it more complete, it has been suggested that there will be a committee headed by a cabinet minister, and this committee would be represented by all the political parties. A member or two from each political party will be a part of this committee, wherein they will be sitting again to look into the nitty-gritty of this roster system. These were the things that were decided today, and we look forward that this roster system is going to benefit the youths of the state. It will create more job avenues for the Khasi, Jaintia and for the Garo students, and also for the unreserved categories. So therefore, I think we are looking forward for the committee to be called, and I think a very short deadline has been kept by the government for this committee to submit its report, and thereafter I think the roster system will be in place. Thank you. Actually, there were a lot of questions raised by them today, and the Honorable Chief Minister had tried his best to answer to all those questions that they have placed. The last question that came from their end was on the reservation. and the Honorable Chief Minister said that the meeting that was scheduled today was only for the roster, not for the reservation policy. Therefore, they were not satisfied. They said we thought we would be discussing the reservation as well, and so they said we will not be part of this meeting any further. And that was how it ended. In fact, whatever clarifications that they required, that has been already thrashed and answered by the Honorable Chief Minister. Yeah.
But what do you have to?
Chief Minister has clearly mentioned in his press statement today about the same question. I think one of you had already asked the same question. And today, the topic that was to be discussed was basically on the roster. Because the roster comes out of the reservation policy. Now there was it is mandated that the roster is to be part and parcel of the reservation policy.
So after the meeting which invited by the government today to all the political party, so from the party side we have listened carefully the brief which was given to us by the Honorable CM of Government of Meghalaya, and we have gone through the roster system which explained to all of us, all the political party present there in Secretariat today, and we are satisfied with the system, and even other political party also, the TMC, the Congress, they are okay with the explanation, and we are looking forward. The CM, the government, they have briefed us and they want that to form a committee to discuss further related with this roster system. So from the party, we don't have anything to say much on top of that already briefed by the government. So we have here the members of this roster committee which we have formed from the party side. So I will invite the chairman of this committee, Ba H.M. Champion, the ex-MLA, and the convener of this committee to brief little about the roster system.
Today we have had the presentation given by the government on the roster system. Now, from the party side, we had attended this presentation, wherein we have been given the presentation about the roster system that is to be implemented in the state. After going through the presentation, we were satisfied that the roster system that is going to be introduced in the state is going to benefit the youths, is going to benefit the job seekers.